Hello and welcome to Forgotten Performance. Today we're upgrading my Ford Mustang with EBC brakes. So here we are, we've got the car up in the air, we've got the wheel off. We can see the old brakes now. There's really not much left of them. It's about time we get something better on there as well. So here we are. This is my brakes on the front left corner. Really is not much pad left at all. I could measure it, but I can say that's about 2.5–3 millimeters left of pad. The disc has a very tiny lip. This could honestly be used again if you wanted to, but it's just a standard disc. It's not a high performance one at all. So we're going to get this off, get these off. Obviously I'll have to take my spacer off, and we'll get the EBC ones on there. Yeah, these were pretty tight, and they should be tight, but it's nothing a bit of elbow grease and a good breaker bar can't sort out. And if we can get it in there, we want to try and open the caliper a little bit, push the piston back. Pop your spring out. That's not broken, that's still in one piece by the looks. So what I'm doing here is squeezing the piston back within the caliper so that the caliper can slide over both the old pads when I remove it and the new pads when I put it back on. So let's jump forward a bit and get to the point where we're putting new parts on. And there we are, it's all stripped down, ready to go. So I'm obviously going to have to clean this up with a wire brush before I go putting the new parts on. But let's show you what we've got. So we've got the original, I think these were an EBC Ultimax disc. It's not actually that bad. Could go again. It's getting replaced with a nice set of EBC slotted discs, which should perform a lot better. Because the amount of heat that this all kind of holds on to, it's bad. The amount of brake fade I can get when I'm driving hard is, well, it's not what you'd expect of a sports car. So that's why we're upgrading. And then to complement these nice slotted rotors, we've gone for EBC Yellowstuff pads, which once in the carrier with the caliper, that'll look very nice. And being Yellowstuff, these are a fast road track day high performance pad. Should stop very well too. Almost forgot to show you the old pads. So these are the actual problem. They're all glazed over, they're worn down, they hold on to a lot of heat, and the braking performance is kind of bad. I did think these were a twin piston caliper though. It's only a single piston, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. I'm going to have to look into that. I thought the Mustang GTs came with a twin piston in 1998. Now, let's have a little moment to look at these new pads, eh? So, EBC Yellowstuff. Who is EBC? EBC is a British high performance and manufacturer replacement brake manufacturer. So they make your pads, your discs. I believe they may even make some rotors, but I'm sorry, some calipers, but I'm not sure. So these being Yellowstuff, they sit here on the chart. High friction, long lasting pad for fastest street driving in cars, trucks, Jeep and SUV. For racetrack use, see bedding instructions. Then the step up from there is blue stuff, followed by the RP and then the SR series. On my old car, my MG, I had the green stuff, which is quite a good pad. It is really good. So that's designed for hot hatches and small performance cars. Another option is the red stuff pad. That's their flagship fast street low dust pad for premium cars and sedans. Not for race use, you'll get it too hot. Race use, you want to move on to the yellow stuff, the blue stuff, or the RP/SR series. So these are probably the best road pad that you can get from EBC, because otherwise you go to the blue stuff, it's a combination of street and track pad, but because of how aggressive it is being focused on track, you may get some problems when it's cold, or you may get some brake squeal. Don't know, I've never used them, but that's what I would expect from them. Yellowstuff, however, spot on, I reckon. So here we also have our brake disc. What's special about this? Does it just look pretty, or does it actually do a job? So as this spins, this would go on the front right wheel, so it would spin that direction, like this. The air passing over these is sucked out, pulling the gases and the dirt out from between the pad and the disc. So this maintains contact at all times and increases the cooling ability of the disc as well by pulling some of that heat away. Because hot gases will end up, instead of sitting between the pad and the disc, they'll get pushed into these, and the centrifugal force or centrifugal force, depending where you say it, how you say it, where you're from, that will get pulled out and it will get expelled out the side of the disc. So no, they don't just look cool, they do have a performance benefit to them as well. Looking cool is just a healthy benefit on the side. As you can see, we've got our nice new brake disc onto the car, held on by the caliper carrier. Next we need to get our pads, put a little bit of anti-seize on the ends, get them in. And then we can put the caliper on, make sure that the piston's fully retracted first. And then we can put our spacer on, wheel back on, and we're done on this side. You don't need a lot of this, a little bit goes a long way. But this is what will stop your brake squeal and stop the brakes from binding. Just make sure you use a high temperature version, because obviously the brakes get very hot. So these are EBC Yellowstuff, and these are a high performance track day versus, well, track day / racing pad. EBC have designed these for use in high performance vehicles, coupes and sedans, and these are so you can, well, do a lot of spirited driving, you can go on track days and maybe do the occasional bit of racing. So these are a very high performance pad, they should stand up to a good temperature range, whereas your standard road pad would get hot very quickly and start to fade. Tiny bit on the caliper carrier. Make sure everything's in. Then we just need to squeeze the piston the last bit back, because I've already got it pushed most of the way. We'll get some swan necks on there, do that, we can solder it all back together. Right, so that's our piston pushed all the way back in the caliper. Then we want to take our anti-seize and we want to re-grease this top slider pin up here. Otherwise the caliper could get stuck and bind up, causing the pads to wear unevenly and burn out twice as fast, maybe even faster, costing you new disc and pads all over again. So it's best to make sure this is nice and clean and then re-greased with another high temperature anti-seize kind of grease. And you take your caliper, slide it over at the top, make sure everything's lined up nicely. And it should, there we go. If you're not an idiot like me, you'll check that this bottom bit isn't hitting on the caliper carrier, and then this should line up nicely. I always like to start my bolts by hand just to make sure that I don't end up cross-threading them, because sometimes it can be very easy. If you're at the wrong angle, you don't always feel it start to cross-thread, or if the threads are old, they can rip out. So you just want to be nice and gentle, start it off by hand and use the appropriate tool for the job. So there we are, nice and tight. There is a torque specification for all of these bolts, so I would recommend that you do them to what the factory says they should be torqued to. And a lot of these bolts, like the caliper carrier, double check, make sure that they are able to be reused. Other than that, all good to go. Just need to put the spacer back on and this little clip that I forgot about. So there we are. That is EBC Yellowstuff pads and slotted rotors fitted to the 1998 Ford Mustang. Definitely shouldn't have any braking issues now. Now we've got these old pads off, we shouldn't be cooking these pads, that's for sure. Track day pads, racing pads versus regular road pads that have been on there for God knows how long, and they're completely glazed over. What I mean by glazed over is once they start to get too hot, the top layer will melt, go smooth, and kind of get that shiny effect to it, which is what the glaze is, and that's when you know these have definitely got too hot and they've been cooked. They're no good. So there we are. I'll get the wheel back on and we can consider that upgrade done. Now I am going to torque it up, obviously, to the manufacturer recommended tightness. Only reason I'm able to do this in the air is because I've already got the brake pedal pressed by a pedal presser, which is going to hold the brakes on for me. Well, hold them on slightly by the seams, but enough that I can get this flush on. It was enough that I could tighten the spacer down too, and I'll lower it down the rest of the way, and job done. This is how they look on the car. So this is the front left side, the driver's side. So as you can see, they're going to, as it spins, the gases will get pulled to the outside of the disc. Once I drive on them, that black paint will get taken off. They'll probably be just silver, and you'll be able to see them a bit clearer. And you can see the pads, Yellowstuff, happy accident, go with my calipers and my carriers perfectly. Really happy to see that. Does give it a lot more of a performance-based look too. Camera's just struggling to pick it up because of how dark it is in there. Comparing that disc to the old one, you can really see the difference between the two styles. This one just being a flat face made of steel, where the other one obviously has those grooves cut into it, designed to pull the gases and the hot air away from the face of the disc itself. So there we are, thank you for joining me today. Unfortunately, I can't give you a review on how I think they perform until they've bedded in. Brakes take a little while to really bed into each other before they'll give their best performance. So stay tuned, subscribe. Next video will either be more upgrades, racing, or a performance review on these brakes. Thank you for watching.